reached out to me, saying that there was some mutual benefit to us working together. I decided to give it a go and explore what he was talking about, and that's when he started to explain matrix freedom to me. He was on the phone for about 2 hours. He did most of the talking. I think it was late June, early July.
Yep.
On the surface, on the face of it, it sounded great. But there was something that didn't quite sit with me with Ian. He offered for me to work there, and I politely declined. He proceeded to task Kevin with messaging me through Telegram, multiple, and getting warm and friendly with me. Anyway, he invited me to his dinner at one weekend with him and his wife, and he said Ian would be there as well. Predominantly it was me, Kevin, his wife, and Ian. And they cooked a meal, and we had dinner, and this was on a Saturday, and we had some things to drink. At one point, I went out into the garden, and I was sitting on the bench, and the sun was going down. In fact, it was getting quite dark, and Ian followed me out, and he came and sat next to me on the bench, trying to talk deep, on a deep level.
Attempting to talk deep.
Right?
Yeah.
But what he did, I was sitting there, and he said, "Give me your hand."
Right.
And I'm sitting there thinking, wait on a minute, he's talking to me on a level like this. He invited me here, they've got me here, they've asked me to stay here.
He's trying it on.
Is this a setup? And anyway, I put my hand out,
Yeah.
and he grabs my hand,
Yeah.
and he brings it to his chest.
Right.
And then he just sits there like this.
I did wonder where you said he was going to put your hand. But
Well, this is what he was doing. So he was putting his hand, I'm sorry, I mean, I know that, but
Yeah,
he
go
was
on.
putting his hand on his chest, and he literally held it there.
I'm not moaning.
And I'm sat, he's talking deep, he then puts it, and he's got his eyes closed, and he's breathing deep. And then the next minute, he starts to choke. So he starts going, and he starts, like, really coughing, and, like, and he falls on the floor.
Right. Do you think?
And literally, he's just on the floor, on his hands and knees, and he's coughing. In the end, I mean, he doesn't get up, okay? He does not get up. In the end, I got so worried, I went into the house to grab Kevin. In the meantime, Ian somehow managed to get his way all the way over to the grass, to the garden. We're on concrete, on the patio sort of garden. It's a big house, right? It's a big patio. And when we come out, he's on the grass over there, and he's being sick, but it's not like sick, okay? It's like bile and foam. Like he was foaming, like rabies almost, But the funniest thing was he was farting. It was coming out this end, it was coming out that end, and he was just, all right? It was noisy. It was noise out of this end, and it was noise out of that end. And he couldn't get off the ground.
Do you think this is something that...
Don't, because me and Kevin were in hysterics. We were pissing ourselves. I even went and got Kevin's old dad's. Kevin had a wheelchair. So we went and got the wheelchair to try and get him out of the garden into the house.
Do you think this is... Right.
It was embarrassing.
Do you think this was a technique that he's used to try to chat those up?
Well, it didn't work.
I can imagine it being stabbed. This is like a kind of over-the-top technique to try and pull someone.
Well, it didn't work. But anyway, right, so it's now, he's out there. Me and Kevin have gone inside. He's a heavy lump, right? That man is a big, heavy lump. And me and Kevin could not carry him. So we literally went and tried to get a wheelchair. We tried to get him in the wheelchair. We couldn't get him in the wheelchair. So in the end, I just went and got some covers, and I just covered him and left him out in the garden. Because it was now, like, late, and I was wanting to go to bed. So anyway, I went to bed, and in the morning, he'd finally managed somehow to make his way to his bedroom.
Like the Terminator.
But I thought, I don't think I want to work for Matrix Freedom. you know, Ian's the type of man that would say something early on to get you on board, but then very quickly change goalposts and change goalposts and change goalposts.
That's kind of unlike Ian Stamp to move the goalposts. So yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, he did that a lot.
Well, I've seen that a lot. Yeah, I've seen that a lot. I think a lot of people have seen that with Ian Stamp.
Yeah.
Says one thing
Does
and then does another. Yeah.
Yeah. Then there were, what I realised, you know, through being in the office, is that a lot of the staff there weren't there for the benefit of the people, the clients. They were there to line their own pockets. They weren't interested in freedom. They weren't interested in the bigger picture of what's going on. A lot of them were jabbed up. A lot of them, you know, it was just, you know, wasting time and duplicating efforts, and they're just not focused. They were almost like, you know, you pay peanuts, you get monkeys, right? Well, there were a lot of monkeys there eating a lot of peanuts and not doing very much work.
So you had a lot of poorly qualified staff being paid a lot of money.
Correct.
So what kind of salaries are we talking about with these people? Would you know?
Well, it depends what role. You know, for example, someone like Andy, who was actually, you know,
This is Andrew Donald.
Andrew Donald Jackman.
AKA Andrew Jackman.
Yeah, he was heading, you know, he actually did the paperwork. He created the documents and the suites of documents. You know, he was being paid, what, $5,000 a month or so, that's my understanding. Whereas, you know, I'm aware that right now, you know, I'm aware that he's paying staff 55, 65k to do a head of department job, but they're not qualified whatsoever in that capacity. Now, to me, that's strikes me as someone who is wanting to bribe staff. You know, it's almost like, just believe and do what I say. I'll pay you this and you shut up and you just do what you're told.
Do what you're told.
And that's all Ian wanted, was just yes men and women. When I first joined, I suggested that we created a council where an exec team would come together each week and, you know, discuss. And so Ian created a council, but it was his idea.
Okay, so I see how this guy works here. So it's always his idea, albeit the fact that other people come up with the idea. Yeah.
Well,
no big surprise. That's not a shock to me. So I had to cough there. But I'm laughing basically. I'm laughing because that's exactly what I would expect of him.
Yeah,
Sure.
I remember, because of my network and the people that I know, I thought early on, I'll introduce Ian to some of the people that I know so that he could potentially be interviewed, right? Because you're trying to make things work, you want things to do well now, you're a part of it. You know, I didn't see the full, the full true nature of what was really going on at that point in time. So anyway, I contacted a few of my network, potential YouTubers that I'm aware of, and I got some interviews secured for Ian. A couple of them didn't come back or said no. And when I relayed this to Ian, he didn't accept it. And
well, what a surprise! He doesn't accept the word no.
He didn't accept that some people weren't interested in interviewing him, and he got annoyed with me and took me off those to my own network that I had reached out to. He was now saying, "I'll do it. I don't want you to do that," because I gave him a no. So it became very early on, I started to see these patterns. And the thing that really, well, there's loads of things that happened, but there was a couple of things that really nailed it for me. One of them was that I had managed to bring together this network to come and work at Matrix Freedom. And, you know, Ian had told me to go out and get as many practitioners as I could find from the truth movement. And I want to bring them on board at Matrix Freedom. And this was, you know, we're now September time, and I'm thinking, what, you want me to bring them all on board? You want me to give them contracts? You know, how do you want to work this? And he was kind of, just get them all on board, offer them all contracts, blah. And in my mind, I'm going, actually, some of these people are already in jobs. I don't want to take them away from their current jobs if this isn't for them. There's no transparency. It doesn't, it wasn't, to me, I just felt like it wasn't a safe space for them. So I proposed that instead of issuing them all with contracts to come and work on board, to first invite them down for 2 days of training, send them the contract to review and to have a look over, but come down for 2 days of training, meet the team, find out more about what we're doing and what their role would be, and then decide whether to sign that contract. Because I don't want you walking away from current jobs or changing things and then it not work out. That would be really unfair of me, really irresponsible of me. And so I brought them down, I arranged 2 days of training. They all came down for the training, and then it was after that training that I said, right, well, I'm going to create some start dates because they're interested in joining. And it was at that point Ian said, well, we only need 2.
So hold on, so he's told you to go and get as many as possible.
Correct.
Initially he'd actually said give them contracts, which meant that from the 18 people could have potentially resigned from their jobs. And then he says he only wants 2. So had it not been for you basically saying, no, come down and see if you like it, let's put a buffer zone in there, there would be 16 people potentially that might have resigned and then been left with no job to go to.
Correct.
Nice. Yeah. What a nice guy.
So now I'm in a position where I've got a whole network.
Yeah, and you
my
look like
contacts, and I look
arse face.
I look bad, right?
Yeah.
So I'm now having to go back and communicate, but it's how do I do that without upsetting them? So I'm trying to get some more understanding from me. What about the timeline? Okay, you need 2 now, but when will you need the next 2? When will you need the next 2? When would you need the next 2? Because then I can maybe start to play around with it a little bit so people aren't so disappointed, right?
Yeah.
And again, there was no clear-cut answer, and I thought, you know what, I can't work like this. And it was around that time that also there was a few other things that were going on. So it was that coupled with the fact that now I was really starting to see customers complaining, phoning the office, not getting responses. I'm in the management meetings and I can see the bumbling around and the foolishness and the fact that Ian just wants nodding dogs like Churchill. Oh yes. Oh yes, we agree with you, Ian.
So would you say it was disorganised then?
I would say.
I mean, if people are bumbling around, that kind of conjures up the idea that they're just not focused. They don't know really what they're doing.
They don't know what they're doing, right? Because you had Andy Jackman sat in an office in Portsmouth. You had Ian sat in his office in Portsmouth, or wherever they were working from. You had the staff in the office who are not awake. Okay, they're not looking. They don't understand the banking system, the legal system. They don't care. They're still drinking their cans of Monster and living it up, with cocaine and stuff going on in the office, right?
Okay,
So when you're seeing this, you're kind of like, they're not here for the people, and Ian doesn't give a shit. And then on top of that, Ian doesn't actually give a shit about my own network and about my reputation, about my the way I look. He dishonoured me.
Yeah.
And to me that was like, well, if he can do that to me and my network, and I'm watching all of this going on, he can do that to anybody. They're getting a good income because Ian's paying them well to keep them shut up and just get on with your job, right?
So when did you become aware then? So, well, I mean, obviously, I'm guessing you left soon afterwards then.
I handed my resignation in. He owed me £4,500. I still haven't received that to this day. He made a controversy out of me leaving. There was no need to. I was just politely, going back on what was said. It's a trial. Hasn't quite worked out. I'm really sorry, but I do wish you all the best. And from that moment, I've got the whole email trail, and he is just one big narcissist fuck, right?
So he's just gone after you and slated you since you've gone.
Yeah, That was it. So then he decided to turn the team against me and make me out to be the bad one. When I'd done nothing wrong, I just decided to vote with my feet, right? I'd actually done nothing. Then he proceeded to try and contact my network that I tried to bring on board behind my back.
Gotcha. So when did you realise then that he couldn't actually do what he claimed he'd been doing? When did you find out about the mortgages, that he couldn't do that?
Well, actually, it wasn't a case of, oh, he couldn't do that, because they were still in the process.
It was a case of he hadn't done it.
He hadn't done it yet. There was always, it is going to work. And by that point, they hadn't even reached the affidavit of obligation for the commercial lien yet. All right. So they hadn't found any partners to monetize liens with. They hadn't found any exit strategy. They're just building the road as they're going. They're promising promises on things that they have never delivered before, and they're building the road, so it's sometimes being changed, and a piece gets taken out and another piece gets fit in, right? So we're laying the track whilst the train's on the tracks moving.
Okay.
And so when I left, they hadn't even got that. Now in my mind, this was also another thing, you know, the fact that these clients are waiting 2 years now, and they're still not got a completed lien.
So we're talking about people that he'd actually had on board since 2019.
Correct.
With mortgage free, which he's brought through to Matrix Freedom. He's been paid up front, because if I remember that what he said to me, and the contract he showed me, people were paying up front.
People were paying up front. You cannot get onto the program unless you've paid up front.
But okay, so when did you discover that, because he'd been portraying to you early doors that he had this track record, when did you find out or realise or have him admit that he didn't actually have a track record?
It was whilst I was working there. So we used a platform called Teams, Microsoft Teams.
Okay.
And we had different channels for different working groups.
And that's how you communicate with each other.
And that's how we communicated. I was in multiple teams on research and development. And what Ian was doing was tasking certain members of the team to go into other people's educators' platforms, download all their materials and resources, and basically pull it together and go through it, sift through it, and take everything that was valuable, and then to be able to regurgitate it. So that was a regular thing that Ian was telling staff to go and do. He did it with House of Markers. I'm aware of Christopher Hauser, B.B. Bacchus, Rob Ryder, Reclaim Your Securities. So YouandYourCash, most definitely. So
okay. Yeah. So I think you told me once about a conversation that had taken place in a meeting where you'd pulled him up about community. It should be community, or he wanted money, he wanted sales.
Oh, yes.
Tell us about that. Just recite that.
I think we've done an interview, I think, with Romola, and it was the whole team, and we were doing, or it might have been one of his webinars where he invites his clients to come onto the webinar, and we're delivering this webinar. And in this webinar, I talk about community and how, you know, we're a private society, or working towards a private society with the highest level of consciousness, you know, and you know, this isn't about money and the monetary system, all right? This is about us getting our resources so we can develop our own for our future. And when I had left Matrix Freedom and I met up with Matt Fantham for a coffee to have a discussion, obviously he had been booted a couple of weeks before, I decided to leave. Matt reached out to me, invited me for coffee, and that's how I ended up speaking to Matt. And Matt told me that he said, oh, do you remember having that webinar where you were talking about community and monetary system and blah blah blah? And I said, yeah. He said, well, straight after that webinar, Ian got straight on the phone to me and says, forget everything that Simone just said, we're nothing to do with community, you know, that's a load of bollocks, right? We're here for money and we've got to make money, there's no other way around it. And so, you know, obviously Matt had cause to, at that point in time, to tell me the truth about Ian's motives, but it just goes to show that, you know, this is not an honourable man. This is someone who is double-minded. He's got a forked tongue, says one thing, does another, says one thing, means another.
Yeah, well, that's been my experience of him.
Yeah.
He says he won't do something, then just does it. You know, says I won't use your information without your permission, goes and just takes it.
As soon as I left, I sprung to life Empower the People, a private membership association. A few months later, he's turned Matrix Freedom into a private membership association.
I spotted that because in actual fact I then advertised that in a video, funnily enough. I mean, obviously I wasn't necessarily aware too much of, I had become aware of Empower the People because you contacted me in January 2022 wanting to access some of the information on the website. But I didn't really pay too much attention to it all. What I was aware of is that following the Michael Benicia video, where I was then accused of, being in league almost, it was implied I was in league with Ian Stamp, I had to come out and make sure that people knew I had nothing to do with Ian Stamp. And then of course the videos, the rest is down to history basically. But in one of those videos that I made, I spotted that he had changed the nature of Matrix Freedom. Initially, he was quite proud in saying that Matrix Freedom was a trading division or trading style of Senjay Limited in the Seychelles, and that it was a business. It was always business. And then it changed in the April, right? It suddenly changed, late April, something like that. It then changed, or early May, it changed into a private members association.
Which is really scary.
Well, which is funny because he accuses you of copying him, but in actual fact, he was copying everybody else, and he copied you in terms of the Private Members Association.
Yeah, we launched
I find that for a guy that puts himself out as allegedly having all these great genius idea moments, it's a facade. In my opinion, it's a complete facade. What he does is he sees other people's stuff, and he just collects it all. Even to the point where, he's actually doppelganging my background.
Really?
Right? Because when Ian Stamp first hit the scene, he was very big on saying that he woke up because of his, it was his battle with the FSA which kind of caused him to wake up, right? And he'd operated all these businesses, right? So 2019 is when he allegedly kind of woke up to it all, yeah? So he woke up in 2019, I woke up in 2008. Ian has now changed his background story to say that he woke up in 2008. I've not made a secret of the fact that I used to play rugby, and I got an injury. I lost an inch in height, and all of a sudden, Ian's now talking about he used to play football. He got an injury, and it was to his back, to his spine, which is a kind of uncanny thing there. And it just strikes me that what he's doing is he sees things in people, and he adopts it. I mean, do we even know who Ian Stamp really is? Does Ian Stamp really know who Ian Stamp really is? I'm not so sure. But what we're seeing is something that I certainly don't like, and there are a lot of people in that victim support group right now who also don't like it, because people have paid a lot of money. I mean, while you were there, I don't know if you came into contact with this, but obviously people were paying monies over to have mortgages written off, unsecured debts written off, on the basis that Ian had promoted that he had a track record. I mean, am I making that up when I say that he was promoting the fact that he had a track record?
No, he says track record, it was all over his platform.
Right, because he denies that he ever said that.
No.
He denies that.
No.
Even though we've got the emails, the excerpts, the videos, he denies he ever said it, right?
Yeah. Well, what Ian does is he uses very sneaky marketing techniques.
Mm-hmm.
So he was saying, that they've written off loads of mortgages because they were able to prove that it was a void at law and inequity.
Yeah.
Right? But that's an opinion. Right, it's not fact. Okay, it's fact in the sense of all the research qualifies that the mortgage is void at law and in equity, right?
Yeah.
That was his track record. That because they'd taken people through the affidavits and facts had been established, i.e. new contracts, commercial liens being created, that was the track record of writing off mortgages.
But did he actually complete any of those paperwork for him? So even in that respect, even if we take it from the point of view that he was referring to the paperwork process in a way that he'd actually written off the debts, but he hadn't actually completed the paperwork process for people. And this is something that we've heard from other insiders, in as much as he actually directed staff, your colleagues, to stop the paperwork so that they were just bringing on new people, maybe starting the process and then just not doing anything else, stopping it halfway through. So even if he was to claim that I was referring to the paperwork process when I was talking about 100% track record, even that isn't true because he hadn't completed the paperwork process for the customers. It's absolutely outrageous. Absolutely outrageous.
Oh yes, I'm the great pretender. Pretending I'm doing well. My need is such, I pretend too much. I'm lonely, but no one can tell. Oh yes, I'm the great pretender. Adrift in a world of my own. I play the game, but to my real shame, you've left me to dream all alone. Too real is this feeling of make-believe. Too real when I feel what my heart can conceal. Oh yes, I'm the great pretender. Just laughing and gay like a clown. I seem to be what I'm not. You see, I'm wearing my heart like a crown. Pretend that you're still around. To me, when I feel what my heart can conceive. Oh yes, I'm the great pretender. Just laughing and gay like a clown. I seem to be what I'm not, you see. I'm wearing my heart like a crown. Pretend that you're pretend.